To everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Have you ever watched a movie flop so hard it made history? Not just for its box office numbers, but for how its own star ended up sitting in a practically empty theater trying to salvage some dignity. That's the situation Rachel Zegler found herself in with Disney's live-action remake of Snow White. What was supposed to be a cornerstone in Disney's modern fairy tale empire ended up being one of its most expensive embarrassments. And the story behind it is so messy, so surreal, it almost feels scripted. Except this isn't a fantasy. It's a $370 million reality check. When Disney announced a new Snow White, people were skeptical but curious. The original classic is one of the most iconic films ever made. Reimagining it with a modern twist was always going to be controversial, but no one could have predicted just how far off the rails this project would go. From early teasers to press interviews, the signs were there. And once the movie finally hit theaters, it didn't just underperform, it imploded. In its opening weekend, Snow White earned just $42 million. That's a number that might sound passable for an indie release or a modest rom-com, but for a Disney tentpole with a reported $240 million production budget and a marketing campaign estimated to push total costs near $370 million, it was a disaster. By the second weekend, ticket sales dropped by a brutal 66%, bringing in just $14.2 million and pushing it behind smaller, less hyped films like A Working Man, which had fewer screens and zero Disney clout. It didn't take long for people to start posting videos of empty theaters, awkwardly deserted lobby areas, and seat maps that looked like ocean blue because no one was buying tickets. One video showed Rachel Zegler herself attending a screening with a few friends, possibly for moral support, trying to put on a brave face. She even posted a clip of herself buying tickets at the counter, smiling, laughing, as if embracing the failure would soften the blow. It didn't. If anything, it made the whole situation more surreal, like watching someone live stream their own downfall in real time. The response online was ruthless. People weren't just criticizing the film, they were dragging Rachel, and not just for her acting, but for how she'd handled the entire promotional run. Long before the movie released, she had already become a lightning rod for controversy. She called the original Snow White weird, mocked the love story, and dismissed the prince character as a stalker. That didn't sit well with Disney traditionalists, or really anyone who thought reboots should respect the legacy of the original. But it didn't stop there. Rachel also made comments suggesting the new Snow White was going to fix the story, framing the character as a powerful leader instead of a princess waiting for love. Again, that's not inherently a bad angle, but the way she said it, smug, dismissive, and clearly unaware of how alienating she sounded, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And then came the political posts. In the middle of promoting a family-friendly film, Rachel started sharing polarizing content, including pro-Palestine statements that, while important to her personally, ended up painting a political target on the film. But it didn't stop there. Rachel also made comments suggesting the new Snow White was going to fix the story, framing the character as a powerful leader instead of a princess waiting for love. Again, that's not inherently a bad angle, but the way she said it, smug, dismissive, and clearly unaware of how alienating she sounded, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And then came the political posts. In the middle of promoting a family-friendly film, Rachel started sharing polarizing content, ended up painting a political target on the film. One particularly viral moment was when she essentially told certain political groups not to watch the movie. That might fly in an indie film circuit or among activist circles, but this is Disney. This is a multi-billion-dollar global brand trying to sell tickets to everyone from toddlers to grandparents. And when your lead actress is publicly telling half the audience to stay home, well, they just might listen. Behind the scenes, things were reportedly tense. Rumors of friction between Rachel and co-star Gal Gadot began circulating. It got so heated that Disney allegedly had to increase Gal's security after receiving hate messages and threats, some of which were reportedly sparked by Rachel's own posts. When Rachel later made a snide remark referring to Gal as a pageant queen and then completely left her out of a heartfelt Instagram thank you to the cast, people noticed. Whether it was shade or just poor judgment, it added fuel to an already raging PR fire. By the time the movie hit screens, the backlash was in full swing. Critics panned it, audiences avoided it. And the film's IMDb score dropped to a laughably low number, hovering at one point around 1.5 out of 10. That's not just a flop, that's a full-blown rejection. Even movies universally acknowledged as bad don't usually score that low. Snow White wasn't just disliked, it became a meme, a symbol of how badly things can go when Hollywood underestimates its audience. And the thing is, this wasn't just about the movie. This became a referendum on Rachel Zegler herself. She was everywhere, and not in a good way. From awkward red carpet clips to smug sound bites to fiery Instagram stories, it was like watching someone slowly alienate their fan base in real time. Disney reportedly brought in social media experts to manage her image, but by then it was too late. You can't put out a wildfire with a tweet. You definitely can't walk back months of arrogance with one apology video. But she tried anyway. Her apology, when it came, felt corporate and insincere. Fans weren't buying it, and neither was Hollywood. Rumors started circulating that she'd been quietly dropped from upcoming projects. A voice role in Toy Story 5? Gone. A rumored lead in the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot? Cancelled. Talks with horror studio Blumhouse for a new trilogy? Dead in the water. It was like every door was shutting at once. Despite everything, Rachel took to social media to say the film had been life-changing for her. She called the experience emotional and transformative, and maybe on some level it was. But from the outside looking in, it just looked like the final stage of denial before acceptance. The kind of thing you say when the ship is sinking and you're pretending you meant to take a swim. Meanwhile, Disney is left holding the bag. Snow White was supposed to be a triumph, a showcase of modern values fused with nostalgic magic. Instead, it's being used as a case study in how not to launch a reboot. Critics are calling it Disney's identity crisis on full display. A film with no clear target audience, led by a star who couldn't stop igniting controversy, burdened by a message that felt more preachy than empowering. And then there's the timing. Minecraft. The movie is set to release next week. Whatever audience Snow White might have had left will likely be swallowed whole by the pixelated juggernaut. That means the $370 million gamble won't just fail, it'll be forgotten. Relegated to the same graveyard as other infamous flops like John Carter and The Lone Ranger. Only this time, the lead actress isn't a casualty. She's a key contributor to the chaos. It's rare to see a fall from grace happen so quickly and so publicly. One moment, Rachel Zegler was being hailed as the future of Hollywood, and the next she was watching her own film in a nearly vacant theater, the laughter of a few supportive friends echoing through the empty halls. And the worst part? It didn't have to be this way. If she'd stayed humble, stayed focused, and let the movie speak for itself, things might have gone differently. Instead, we got a masterclass in how not to navigate fame. How a promising career can be derailed by a combination of ego, politics, and poor timing. Rachel didn't just burn bridges, she nuked them. And now, with the dust still settling, all that's left is a cautionary tale that Hollywood won't soon forget. So, is this the end of Rachel Zegler's stardom? Maybe. Or maybe it's just a brutal chapter she'll learn from. But one thing's for sure. If you're going to reimagine a fairy tale, make sure you don't turn it into a cautionary one. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. And thank you for watching.